All right, let's go ahead and get started today with the long coffee break. Joining me today is Aaron Levy from Q-PAC. Aaron's going to run us through some of the advancements, as well as just kind of revisit some of the good things about EC fan arrays. So Aaron, if you wouldn't mind taking it over.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Aaron Levy. I'm the regional sales manager for Q-PAC. We're going to go over the Q-PAC fan system and fan array system. If you got any questions, I think we'll have a Q&A at the end. So a lot of the challenges that we run across today for contractors and clients are air handler disruptions, low energy efficiency of their systems, higher maintenance costs associated with bearings, belts, just replacement costs, as well as the skilled labor shortage of finding people to work on some of these systems that are still in place 30, 40 years in their lifespan. The Q-PAC system, it delivers a higher efficiency with EC technology, as well as continuity across an entire building. So we can use, instead of maybe 4 or 5 different motors, 1 or 2, or maybe 3 different size fans for an entire building, which allows the customer to have quite a few less replacement parts in the long run. And when we talk about the Q-PAC system, it is a complete integrated system. We supply the bulkhead, the EC fan motors, the control panel, as well as the quick connect box, which is inside, that distributes all the power and communication. We supply all the wiring harnesses, hardware, mounting kits. So the only thing that we don't supply in our scope for the system is the power control from the building to the disconnect, and the power control from that disconnect to the interior quick connect boxes. Since we don't know where you're going to mount the disconnects, we don't supply those, but it does allow for a shorter time for electricians to do their wiring process. So when we talk about EC fan arrays, I like to go over a lot of the differences between what you have in there currently and some other options from other competitors. When you're looking at like belt drives, so you always have VFDs. Even with direct drive systems, you have VFDs. And with ECs, we have the integrated electronics built onto the back of the motor. In essence, it acts like a VFD, but instead of changing the hertz profile, we do it controlled through DC link. We just voltage control the winding speed. So you still have full speed control for a 0 to 10 VDC. In essence, you can run these fans all the way down to like 10% of their max RPM, all the way to full speed without any additional heat load or anything like that. So again, we don't have any additional components. The fan is built as one whole complete system. So you don't have belts or pulleys, hubs that are extra wheels. It's all balanced from the factory. You don't need large frame rails. Everything is directly mounted to the bulkhead wall, where you don't need any vibration isolators, cork insulation, anything like that. These are AMCO certified to be mounted directly to a rigid mount. And therefore, you don't have any of that transmission loss. So you save a lot of efficiency without having to wear belt slippage, pulleys, ratios, and things like that. And the biggest component is weight. The heaviest fan that we even supply is about 150 pounds. And then you look at some of these 5, 10, 15 horsepower motors weigh anywhere from 200 to 600 pounds, requiring gantry systems and a lot of labor costs to replace those. We don't have any maintenance. They're strictly plug and play, no bearings to grease, no belt to change. If a fan were to fail, you just remove it from the system, throw it away, and then put a new one on. And then we add integrated redundancy. In most cases, all of our systems tend to be about N+1. That way, if a fan does fail, the customer doesn't see any interruption in their airflow. So you don't really find that with a belt drive system, or even with something like a Nortec system where they're using 3 or 4 cubes. You're really dividing that load into threes or quarters. Total fan efficiency can get anywhere from 35 to 70% total fan efficiency, which is twice as high as you would probably get on most other options. And then we talk about motor efficiency. You'll see like Baldor, Marathon, and the like, they'll say that their super efficient motors are anywhere from 88 to 90% efficient. And that's really at full load. Once you start putting a VFD on there, start slowing them down, the efficiency of those motors tend to fall off, and counting the power transmission from that shaft to that wheel. When you're looking at an EC motor, those tend to be about 90 to 95% efficient at the motor. And as we slow those down through voltage and not hertz, we still maintain our efficiency stays over about 75, 80% across its whole power band. So we're quieter, we don't have any vibrations that transmit back to the system, and everything is hand carryable and lightweight. We also talk about horsepower. Most of these fans are always rated in kilowatts, so we're actually talking about input power versus just rated power. So where you may see a 10 horsepower motor in a system, we'll end up supplying something that equates to about maybe a 6.5 horsepower motor, but we tend to operate probably below that unless we're running right at peak efficiency. And then one of the misconceptions that we hear a lot for EC technology is total harmonic distortion. Normally what I tell customers that if your current system has a VFD in place, then you don't need an active or a passive filter to lower that harmonic distortion. ECs tend to be about 15 to 20% less on a harmonic scale than their equivalent VFD counterparts. You do, if you want to eliminate it altogether, you would need an active filter. Those tend to be pretty expensive, and I only recommend those for places like hospitals that are putting things near MRI, CAT scan machines, data centers with high sensitive servers and things like that. In most cases, those are already on the prints or probably already installed anyway, because both the VFDs and the EC technology both use 6-pulse inverters. So you'll find those on the 5th and 7th registers to eliminate those. When we talk about our quick connect wiring, and what makes our system so much easier than other systems is the quick connect box is that small little rectangular box off to the left. And we provide all the wiring harnesses to go to those fans. So you plug in fan 1, there's just a wiring harness with Molex plugs, they connect in there. And so when you have to replace the fans later, all you're doing is disconnecting the wiring harness from the back of the motor, and then you replace that fan and then put the new one back on. It takes about 30 minutes or so to replace a fan. So your shutdown for your customer is not very long versus having to pull out a whole system with gantry systems to get a big, large, heavy motor out of it. This also houses all fuse disconnects for the fans, as well as the pressure device for the premium control systems for measuring differential pressure. We kind of touched on this, so I just like to skim over this a bit. When we talk about our competitors, and we talked about, the fan cubes will typically arrive assembled. They typically won't fit through a standard doorway, so they'll have to be disassembled and then reassembled back inside the air handler, which takes a lot of time. In most cases, the installation time for a Q-PAC system is less than a day. So less than 8 hours for a team of 2 to 4 people. That counts your electrician versus, and that's after demo. So once demo is completed and it's ready to put the first screw into the wall, you're done anywhere from 4 to 6 hours versus 3 times that for a cube type system for that array. We offer a full 5-year warranty on all of our parts, which is twice as long as any of our other competitors. We talked about the rigging time and replacements for about 30 minutes versus a few hours. And we don't have any programming time. Everything that ships from our factory to the job site is already pre-programmed. So everything goes in its place. There's a diagram that shows you where every panel goes, as everything's labeled like panel 1 through 7. So you know which order to put it all in. So it makes it very simple and very quick to put it together. Oop, missed one. So we talk about basic and premium controls. I always recommend premium controls. While there is an upcharge for it, the benefits that you get from it far outweigh the basic controls. But if it's a simple 1 or 2 fan system and you just have a 0 to 10 coming in, a basic control gives you everything that you need. Both systems come with an HOA switch and a potentiometer for bypass control. So if you ever lost building control, you can just switch it into hand mode and use the dial to dial in the fan speed that you would need. You get a common alarm on the basic, and you'll get individual fan alarms on the premium control. So you'll know exactly which fan has failed and what alarm you may get. You'll also have a 7-inch touchscreen digital panel on the outside of the disconnect on the premium controls, which allow you to get energy consumption, airflow monitoring, pressure device monitoring, and everything that gets in there. Fireman controls for interlocks, safety and interlocks, things like that you just don't get on the basic controller. And BACnet. BACnet is the premium controller. If you want to be able to cut that into a building management system is the big key component there. Some flyers have gone out talking about our FS1 system, and people have asked what that is. It's just an improvement on how we have done our previous systems before. So we've kind of streamlined a lot of different things. So I kind of just go over what that entails. We now have all 3 German EC fan suppliers available to us now to be able to use and to integrate it into our BACnet system. Before it was really just 2. Mainly one was our primary supplier, EBM, filled in a few gaps. We've also improved the disconnect with the touchscreen interface. We now do everything of that in-house. All the controls are now in-house and not third party. So now we can control how many parts and everything. We can keep our lead times down when it comes to that. We've improved the wiring, routing, and the wiring harnesses. So now the connections are made at the fans versus back to the quick connect box for each individual fan. It used to be like if you had fan one had its wiring harness from the motor all the way back to the quick connect box. So if that fan were to have failed, you'd have to order that particular fan and that wiring harness to come with it. This time now everything connects regardless. So fans are almost interchangeable where they need to be placed in the system. We've improved the quick connect box. Again, make that in-house, but everything's now fuse disconnect the standard. It used to be optional. So those are just some of the improvements. The bulkhead wall is all pre-punched as it always has been. So like, again, we supply all the hardware and components to put that wall up. So very little that you would need to bring to the job site from that. So we do talk about electricity demands and how much consumption that the fans use. Typically, the ROI for a lot of projects across the board is anywhere from 18 to 48 months, depending on where the job is and where it operates on the curve. But I'd say 80 to 85% of all jobs fall in that 18 to 48 month time frame. We talked about no system maintenance. Everything's plug and play. We have a full technical support team. So even after you're getting the job done or during the installation, if there's a question, you can call our support number. They can help walk you through something if something just happens to get disprogrammed, or you need a question on how to wire something up, or something fails along the way. They can walk you through that very quickly. At the end of the presentation, they'll have a support email that you can email, and they'll normally get back to you within a day. And our full system warranty that we talked about, 5 years, covers every component inside that air handler. If a fan fails, or a quick connect, or a wiring harness, just give us a call and we'll have those parts in stock that we can normally ship out within a day. So very few often that your customer needs to keep a spare in stock unless they really absolutely want to. We'll have all that ready to go when you need it. And again, there's just the key contact information. Mainly if you need anything technical wise, you'll go through, obviously long to get any questions for applications and specs and things like that. But if you have anything really specific, you can email me directly. And then James Montgomery is our head technical guy. So you can email him directly, or support, and it'll just go to a general mailbox for all of our support guys to be able to get you an answer back. So in case somebody's on vacation. So, that's the abridged version. And I think they've got some prizes to give out. So I don't know if they want to do that first, or if they want to answer questions.
Thank you, Aaron. So so if you've got questions, I would encourage you to contact your long sales engineer. And if we need to involve Aaron or the folks back at Q-PAC, if we can't answer your question right away, we can certainly do that. So greatly appreciate everybody joining us today. Hopefully you can see the advantages of this type of the Q-PAC fan array. There's a lot of old vane axial fans and that type of thing that are up for replacement in the Denver area that we've been looking at over the last few years. Easy to get out in parts and pieces, but hard to put those big fans back in. So this is one option potentially that you could investigate. And so if you've got any questions about applications, feel free to reach out to your sales engineer. Want to give a quick plug for next week's presentation. James Murphy will be hosting Carson Solutions and talking about improving indoor air quality and reducing contaminants with displacement ventilation. So seeing more and more applications for that as well. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Once again, reach out to Long if you've got any questions regarding Q-PAC.